Hello, everyone. I'm Kaylee Banasic,
And I'm Audrey Wenzel.
and we are researchers on Dr. McCabe's mentored research team focused on cognitive psychology. When you're learning something new, do you sometimes feel tired, overwhelmed, daunted by the project ahead of you? Well, you're not alone, and this is a common occurrence. When you're learning something new, sometimes it really can be overwhelming. Sometimes there's a lot to pay attention to, and you have trouble focusing on the important information, or maybe you're just distracted by your environment, or your phone, or sounds outside. Maybe there's simply a lot of information to take in, and your brain is working hard to keep up. What we're here to talk about today is cognitive load, which is the theory that explains why we sometimes get overwhelmed while learning and tries to find ways to alleviate the unproductive overload.
So, starting with the premise that we have limited attentional and working memory resources, cognitive load refers to the amount of those resources being used in a given moment. You can't do everything at once. Certain tasks may take up a lesser amount of cognitive resources, which are called low load tasks, whereas high load tasks use more resources. There are three types of cognitive load: intrinsic, germane, and extraneous. Intrinsic load is the inherent difficulty associated with learning a new skill for the first time. It's like when you feel difficulty when learning a new math equation. Germane load is associated with the act of processing and organizing new information into existing schemas or mental diagrams, like adding a new cousin to your complex family tree. And extraneous cognitive load is the extrinsic extras of learning a new material. For example, including the method it's presented in and any external factors in the surrounding environment. Like, imagine you're trying to teach yourself how to knit. You can't do it well if there are small children climbing and yelling around you. That's the extraneous load.
Extraneous cognitive load is what our current research is discussing. This is the type of cognitive load that researchers suggest is usually unproductive and should be minimized in a learning environment in order to free up the mental resources for more productive cognitive load. For our current study, we are looking at how cognitive load has been impacted by the online learning environment that a lot of people and students, especially, are experiencing during the ongoing pandemic, involving lengthy video calls and classes in a very different format than what we're used to. One of the colloquial terms that has been birthed during this pandemic is Zoom fatigue, or the exhaustion caused by participating in Zoom meetings throughout the day. With this unique situation students are currently in, and building off of what other researchers have found previously, we wanted to explore the potential factors that undergraduates are experiencing in today's learning environment that might be exacerbating unproductive cognitive load. Before the pandemic, not much research had been done on synchronous online learning, which is the focus of our study. Synchronous learning is when students participate in video calls with instructors and classmates with information taught in real time through formats such as live discussions, lectures, and multimedia presentations. However, there has been research done on asynchronous multimedia learning, in which the method of information shared is not live and learners have to rely on their responsibility of engaging with the material and completing coursework on their own. Multimedia learning in this context refers to learning both involving words, either spoken or printed, and graphics, such as illustrations, animations, or video. Most of the research we looked at focused on multimedia learning with a video component specifically.
There are a few key factors we found from this prior research that might be relevant to the cognitive load experienced by students in Zoom classes. Cognitive capacity can be overloaded when there is too much extraneous and irrelevant information, such as multiple sources of visual or auditory information at once that divides attention, or unnecessary graphics that don't contribute to learning. Some research found that, in a comparison of three video learning styles, the type that most closely resembles a typical Zoom lecture, a PowerPoint with an adjacent video of an instructor providing a voiceover, resulted in the poorest learning compared to other styles. Other research found that while participants felt seeing instructors' faces in video lectures was more enjoyable and easier to watch, it did not actually contribute to learning and, in fact, increased cognitive load. Prior research has also shown that external environmental factors can impact learning. Even factors like sight, smell, sound, temperature, and air quality can all affect learning. These factors can be difficult to regulate when everyone in class is learning in totally different spaces. Students often report getting distracted during self regulated study time, and research has shown that distractions like texting or social media use, playing video games, and watching videos can have a significant negative impact on learning. It's also been shown that the unique presentations of distractions that come with non classroom learning environments may lead to increased attempts at multitasking.
As we were doing our initial research for this project, new studies had come out from other researchers related to undergraduate studies during this current pandemic. One researcher, Dr. Jeremy Bailenson from Stanford University, wrote a mass media article about cognitive overload and had several theories about Zoom fatigue. His theories include perceptual and cognitive factors like seeing several faces up close on your computer monitor, nonverbal communication like body language from other people, and the constant mirroring of your own reflection in Zoom. While as students, we could probably relate to this, we wanted to find out our own data and run our own trials. Another article we found was by Dr. Reagan Gurung from Oregon State University, who assessed his students' experiences of studying online. He examined academic self efficacy as a factor, which means the confidence students have to complete their work and do well in school. He found that students with low self efficacy did poorly when learning online compared to students with high levels of self efficacy. While his article discussed many possible factors, one that he was really quick to point out was the fact that mental health and self efficacy are seemingly incredibly important to students studying and working in an isolated environment at home.
For our team's current work this past spring semester, we crafted a survey to ask students questions about their perceptions of factors that could contribute to unproductive cognitive loads during Zoom classes. We asked students to report their levels of mental fatigue in Zoom classes compared to an in person semester, and what factors they perceive as impacting that exhaustion level. We're examining a lot of the theories and previous findings mentioned earlier, like environmental situations, Zoom camera settings, class format and teaching styles, student self efficacy, and more. By examining these factors, we hope to find what students feel has an impact on their ability to learn during this pandemic. We haven't done analysis on this research yet. In fact, our survey just closed, but we're looking forward to analyzing the data next semester. Hopefully, we can use our findings to teach people about what might be making them feel tired and impacting their ability to learn, and potentially come up with some solutions to lighten cognitive load in future virtual learning scenarios.
Thank you for coming
Come
to our
to our
talk.
talk. Have a wonderful day and summer.